A sermon of divine sustenance, a single mother upheld through trials, an expanded epic of the Almighty's unfailing grace. What if thou art a mother alone, bearing the weight of the world upon thy shoulders? Yet the Lord, in his tender mercy, upholdeth thee through every storm, carrying thee and thy child in his everlasting arms. O ye burdened souls who tread the rugged paths of this mortal vale, ye who know the ache of love's labor and the sting of solitude's embrace, draw nigh and let thine ears be attuned to this sacred chronicle. I stand afore thee as a lowly herald of the eternal, robed not in the fleeting pomp of earthly favor, but in the mantle of his boundless compassion, to proclaim a tale both piercing and profound, a tale of a single mother forsaken by the hands of men, pressed nigh unto breaking by the trials of life, yet upheld, sustained, and carried by the mighty hand of God through every tempest. This is no mere recounting of a woman's endurance, but a resplendent hymn to the promise spoken by the prophet. Can a woman forget her sucking child that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet will I not forget thee. Isaiah 49:15. Herein shalt thou behold the Lord, who seeth the widow in her affliction, who gathereth the tears of the forsaken, and who maketh a highway through the wilderness, that the solitary might walk in his strength, sing of his mercy, and shine as a beacon to the weary. The wilderness of a mother's solitude. Picture now, O hearers, a woman wrought of common clay, a mother whose heart is a citadel for her child, yet whose life is a battlefield strewn with thorns. Call her not by name, for she is every mother who treadeth the lonesome path, her story carved in the silent offerings of countless women through the ages. In the dawn of her days, perchance she stood upon a hill of hope, her heart alight with visions of a shared life, a home warmed by a partner's fidelity, a family woven together by love's enduring thread. Her laughter once mingled with the songs of kin, her hands were swift to build, and her future seemed a tapestry yet to be adorned with joy. But lo, the storms of fate gathered, and her dreams were rent asunder. Was it the cold hand of death that snatched her beloved, leaving her to weep beside a grave that held her heart? Or the sharper wound of betrayal, a vow shattered by one who swore to cherish, fleeing to chase fleeting pleasures? Perchance she was never bound in marriage. Her child a gift born amidst trial, her love unreturned by the one who sowed it. Whatever the breach, the end was won. She stood alone, a mother single in her calling, both nurturer and provider, her arms the only refuge for the child who looked to her for all things: bread, shelter, safety, and love. Mine eye trickleth down, and ceaseth not, without any intermission. Lamentation 3:49. Thus might she have mourned, as the weight of her solitude pressed upon her soul like a millstone. Her days were a crucible of toil, a ceaseless striving to meet the needs of her little one. By the first light of dawn she rose to labor, perchance as a seamstress, her fingers pricked raw by the needle's bite, stitching dreams she could not wear. Or as a vendor in the marketplace, her voice hoarse from calling wares, her feet weary from standing. Or as a servant in the houses of the wealthy, scrubbing floors while her own hearth stood cold and bare. By twilight she returned to her child, her strength nigh spent, yet summoning a smile to chase their fears, a tale to spark their wonder, a prayer to guard their rest. Her table was oft a board of scarcity, her purse a hollow echo, her body worn thin as a shadow. The price of bread, the threat of fever, the specter of eviction loomed as giants, each one poised to crush her fragile hopes. The world was no gentle companion. Some gazed upon her with pity, their eyes a mirror of her struggle, offering words that warmed not her hearth. Others cast scorn, their whispers a lash. Where is thy husband? What sin hast thou wrought to be thus alone? Friends, once plentiful, drifted into the mist of their own lives, unburdened by her cares. Kin, perchance, were far or frail, unable to bear her load. Loneliness was her constant shadow, sitting unbidden at every meal, lingering in every sleepless night. I am become a stranger unto my brethren, and an alien unto my mother's children. Psalm 69:8. So was her lot, a mother alone, wrestling with storms, armed only with a love that would not yield, and a faith that flickered like a candle in the wind. Yet in her child's eyes she saw a spark of eternity, a reason to rise, to fight, to endure. In their laughter she heard a melody that stilled her fears. In their clinging hand she felt a strength that belied her frailty. And in her heart, buried beneath the rubble of her trials, stirred a trust, a frail, trembling belief that the God who knit her child in the womb, Psalm 139:13, might yet see her need, hear her cry, and be her stay. Was she not akin to Hagar, weeping in the wilderness for Ishmael's sake? Genesis 21:16. Was she not like the widow of Zarephath, whose faith in Elijah's God sustained her through famine? 1 Kings 17:12-16. In the crucible of her solitude, where despair might have claimed her, this spark of faith endured, a seed waiting to break forth into life. The divine sustenance that carried her now, O ye who hearken, attend to the unfolding of this tale, where the Almighty revealeth himself as the Father to the fatherless, the defender of the widow, and the sustainer of the weak. For as this mother toiled beneath her burdens, the Spirit of God moved upon the chaos of her life, not with the thunder of Sinai or the splendor of earthly kings, but with the quiet power of a father's care, gentle as dew upon the grass. When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. Psalm 27:10. This promise became her lifeline, a beacon piercing the darkness of her affliction, a staff to steady her trembling steps. How did the Lord uphold her? His provision was a tapestry of grace, woven with threads both seen and unseen. Perchance it was a neighbor who came with a basket of bread, their kindness a whisper of God's bounty, or a merchant who forgave a debt when the landlord's hand was raised, his mercy a reflection of the divine. Mayhap it was a teacher who saw her child's promise and offered guidance without cost, or a healer who tended their fever with a heart moved by compassion. Perhaps it was a moment of providence unlooked for, a job secured when all doors seemed barred, a coin found when the rent was due, a stranger's gift of clothing when winter's chill drew nigh. Yet beyond these earthly hands, there was a deeper sustenance, a wellspring within her soul. In the stillness of the night, when her child slept and her fears loomed like specters, she poured out her heart in prayer, her words raw and unadorned. Lord, thou seest my need. Be thou my strength, my shield, my hope. And lo, a peace descended, not of this world, but of the Spirit, a peace that passeth understanding, or Philippians 4:7, whispering at, fear thou not, for I am with thee, Isaiah 41:10. Her body was weary, her path was steep, yet her spirit was upheld, her steps guided by an unseen hand. The Lord is my portion, saith my soul, therefore will I hope in him. Lamentations 3:24. This was her confession, a daily miracle of grace that carried her through the tempest. Consider the ravens that fed Elijah by the brook Cherith, sent by God's command, 1 Kings 17:4-6. Or ponder the Syro-Phoenician woman whose faith won healing for her daughter, despite her lowly estate, Mark 7:25-30. So too was this mother sustained, not by her own merit, for she deemed herself unworthy, nor by her own strength, for her strength was spent, but by the God who delighteth to lift the humble. Her trials did not vanish. The labor remained relentless, the nights long and lonely, the whispers of judgment sharp as thorns. Yet she was borne up, as on the wings of eagles, Isaiah 40:31, by a power that never faltered. Her child grew, not in the abundance of wealth, but in the riches of love. Her heart, though scarred, found solace in his presence, and her life, though humble, became a living parable of God's faithfulness, a testimony that shineth brighter than gold. Let us linger upon the manifold ways of her sustenance, For the Lord's provision was not a single act, but a symphony of grace. Perchance a community of believers, small yet steadfast, gathered round her. A church where hands clasped hers in prayer, where voices lifted hymns that strengthened her soul. Or mayhap a moment of divine timing, a storm that passed her dwelling, sparing her roof when others fell. A letter from a distant kin, bearing words of encouragement when despair was near. Her faith, once a flickering ember, grew into a flame, kindled by the words she read in stolen moments. The Lord is nigh unto all them that call upon him. Psalm 145:18. Each provision, each answered prayer, was a stone in the altar of her trust, a monument to the God who never forsaketh his own. The paradox of solitude and divine companionship. But let us pause, O ye seekers of wisdom, and grapple with the mystery that vexeth the heart and soul. Why must a mother bear such solitude? Why doth the Lord permit her to walk this lonesome road, when his word proclaimeth his care for the widow and the orphan? The righteous crieth, could not her yoke be lightened, her burden shared? The skeptic mocketh, is this thy God, who leaveth the weak to struggle while the mighty prosper? And even the mother herself in the watches of the night whispereth, why, O Lord, must I bear this load alone, when my heart crieth for rest? Turn thine eyes to the man born blind, whose affliction was not for sin, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. John 9:3. Or behold Christ in Gethsemane, alone in his agony, yet upheld by the Father's will. Luke 22:42. Solitude is not the Lord's abandonment, but his sacred school, a crucible where faith is forged in fire, where love is purified through sacrifice, where the soul learneth to lean upon the eternal who never faileth. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Psalm 23:4. This was the truth unveiled in the furnace of her trials, a truth that burned brighter than her pain. Her loneliness was a mirror, revealing the frailty of human aid that she might seek the boundless strength of God. Her burdens were heavy, yet they taught her to cast them upon the one who biddeth, cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. Psalm 55:22. The Lord did not remove her solitude, but filled it with his companionship, as a cup runneth over. Psalm 23:5. He did not end her labor, but gave her grace to bear it, as a vine beareth fruit through pruning. John 15:2. My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. This was her portion, a river of hope that flowed through the desert of her days, watering the parched places of her soul. Let us not err, as the Stoic might, and deem suffering her destiny or her punishment. The Lord desireth not her sorrow, but her sanctification, not her poverty, but her trust, not her loneliness, but her communion with him. Her trials were not a curse, but a path, a narrow way that led her closer to the heart of God, where she found a joy the world could not give, a peace the storms could not steal, and a strength the giants could not break. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Psalm 27:1. This was her song, sung not in triumph over trial, but in trust amidst it. The life upheld and the legacy of faith, behold. Now the mother sustained, standing as a cedar unmoved by the gales of life, her heart a sanctuary where faith hath taken deep root. Her hands, once trembling with exhaustion, now work with a quiet resolve, each stitch, each labor an offering to the one who upholdeth her. Her voice, once choked with sorrow, now lifteth in songs of trust, a lullaby for her child and a psalm for her God. O give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Psalm 136:1. Thus she proclaimeth, her life a living altar to God's provision, a testament that shineth brighter than the stars. She walketh not as one unscathed, for the marks of her struggles remain, perchance a body worn by years of toil, a heart that still aches for the companionship lost. a memory of nights when despair was near. Yet she walketh as one upheld, her faith a beacon that pierceth the twilight of her trials, her love a flame that warmeth those around her. Like Hannah, who poured out her soul and saw Samuel born, 1 Samuel 1:15-20, she dedicateth her child to the Lord, trusting his purpose for their life. Like the widow who gave her 2 mites, offering all she had, Mark 12:42-44, she giveth her love, her labor, her prayers, knowing they are precious in his sight. Her child groweth, not in the abundance of gold perchance, but in the riches of wisdom, learning from her faith what no wealth could impart. They see in her a strength that defieth the world's measure, a trust that shineth through tears, a love that never wavereth. Perchance they shall rise to call her blessed, Proverbs 31:28, bearing her lessons into their own lives, planting seeds of faith in fields yet unseen. Or mayhap her influence toucheth others, a neighbor who seeth her steadfastness and seeketh her God, a fellow mother who findeth courage in her example, a child not her own who findeth shelter in her care. A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump, Galatians 5:9. So is her life, a spark that kindleth hope in hearts grown cold, a light that shineth in places dark and drear. Her home, though humble, becometh a sanctuary, where the broken find welcome, the hungry find bread, and the weary find rest. She is no prophetess thundering from the mount, no queen reigning in splendor, but a mother whose quiet faithfulness echoeth in eternity. Her days are a pilgrimage of gratitude, her nights a vigil of prayer, her life a testimony to the God who carrieth his own through every storm. She stumbleth still, for the flesh is frail and the world unkind, but she riseth, for the Spirit is mighty, and the memory of God's provision is her rock, her fortress, her high tower. Psalm 18:2. The ripple of a sustained life. Let us ponder further, O ye faithful, the far-reaching fruit of this mother's sustenance, for her life was no solitary flame, but a torch that lit other paths. The neighbor who shared her bread saw God's hand and was stirred to deeper charity. The merchant who forgave her debt found his heart softened, perchance seeking the God who moved him. The child who grew in her care carried her faith into the world, a seed that might bloom in generations yet unborn. Her quiet acts of trust, her prayers in the night, her labor in the day, her love through every trial, became a river, flowing beyond her own life to water the lives of others. She became a refuge, though her own strength was small. To another mother alone, she offered a word of hope, a hand to hold, a prayer to share. To a child not her own, she gave a moment of care, a story to lighten their heart. To a soul in despair, she spoke of the God who upheld her testimony a lifeline to the drowning. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Matthew 5:16. This was her calling, fulfilled not in grand proclamations, but in the daily offering of a heart sustained by grace. Perchance her influence reached further than she knew. A stranger, touched by her kindness, carried her story to another land. A child, inspired by her faith, became a herald of the gospel. A community, softened by her example, learned to care for the forsaken among them. Her life, like the mustard seed, was small, yet its growth was mighty. Matthew 13:31-32. A testament to the God who worketh through the weak to confound the strong. 1 Corinthians 1:27. The tapestry of grace, a uniting thread. Now let us step back, O ye faithful, and behold the tapestry of grace that bindeth this mother's tale to the others raised in this sermon. Like the addict redeemed from the chains of his vice, she was delivered from despair by God's sustaining hand. Like the survivor spared from calamity, she was upheld through storms that threatened to overwhelm. Like the skeptic turned believer, she found faith in the crucible of trial. Her heart opened to the God who saw her. Like the despairing soul calmed by prayer, she discovered peace amidst her burdens, her cries answered by the Spirit's whisper. Like the sick restored by miracle, she was sustained by divine provision, her life a testimony to God's power. Like the sinner forgiven, she was cleansed of shame, her solitude hallowed by grace. Like the prisoner transformed, she found freedom in her confinement, her heart loosed by God's call. Like the soul restored from loss, she saw God rebuild what was broken, her hope renewed. Like the missionary called from obscurity, she became a light, her quiet faith a sermon to the world. Like the soul freed from drugs, she was liberated from the tyranny of despair, her chains broken by the Savior's touch. Each testimony is a thread in the tapestry of God's mercy, and this mother's tale is a golden strand, reflecting his care for the lowly, his strength for the weak, his love for the forsaken. Her solitude was her wilderness, her child her promise, her faith her victory. The Lord hath done great things for us, whereof we are glad. Psalm 126:3. This is the song that uniteth her with the others, a chorus of redemption that riseth to the heavens. A summons to thee, O burdened one, and what of thee, O thou who hearest this tale? Art thou a mother alone, thy heart heavy with the cares of thy child, thy hands weary from the labor of love? Or dost thou know one who beareth this yoke, or stand ready to face thine own trials, whatever form they take? The call is one for all. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. The God who upheld this mother waiteth for thee, not with a promise of instant deliverance, but with a strength that endureth, a love that faileth not, a presence that filleth every lonely hour with his light. In this age of haste and heartlessness, where the solitary are oft unseen and the burden cast aside, let this tale be thy refuge, thy strength, thy song. Lean not upon the arm of flesh, which bendeth and breaketh, nor despair in thy solitude, which God can hallow with his presence. Cast thy cares upon the one who numbereth thy tears. Psalm 56:8. Who knoweth thy frame, Psalm 103:14, and who promiseth, I will be with thee, I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee, Joshua 1:5. Live not as the hopeless, who see naught beyond their toil, nor as the proud, who need no aid, but as one who hath been upheld, sustained, and carried by the God who is thy strength and thy salvation. Isaiah 12:2. For as this mother was born through her hardships, so mayest thou, by a prayer, a trust, a turning to the one who calleth thee his own, come and find thy rest, thy refuge, thy Redeemer. Amen.